I'm gonna say the meanest thing I could possibly say to these Trump voters posting self-pity videos because they're suffering due to his policies. Now, I don't do personal attacks, so I'm just gonna tell you the truth, because sometimes the truth hurts. You don't get to complain. You definitely don't get to complain about the lack of... I'm gonna say the meanest thing I could possibly say to these Trump voters posting self-pity videos because they're suffering due to his policies. Now, I don't do personal attacks, so I'm just gonna tell you the truth, because sometimes the truth hurts. You don't get to complain. You definitely don't get to complain about the lack of... I'm gonna say the meanest thing I could possibly say to these Trump voters posting self-pity videos because they're suffering due to his policies. Now, I don't do personal attacks, so I'm just gonna tell you the truth, because sometimes the truth hurts. You don't get to complain. You definitely don't get to complain about the lack of... I'm gonna say the meanest thing I could possibly say to these Trump voters posting self-pity videos because they're suffering due to his policies. Now, I don't do personal attacks, so I'm just gonna tell you the truth, because sometimes the truth hurts. You don't get to complain. You definitely don't get to complain about the lack of...
Hey everybody, Rich coming to you here at leavingmaga.org. So earlier this year, I put out a tweet in which I said that the Trump-Musk relationship would eventually deteriorate and cannibalize itself. I know that was not any kind of shocking prognostication to make, but it has come true. And I think that the Trump-Musk episode is yet another example of the mythology that a successful business person is guaranteed to succeed in government. That could be true, depending on the person, but it is not true with Trump and Musk. So I'll be sure to share that tweet with you guys here at our socials. Make sure you're following us. Make sure you're subscribing here at TikTok, at YouTube as well. Make sure you get our newsletter, leavingmaga.org. As always, appreciate you watching. Thanks for your support. Hey everybody, Rich coming to you here at leavingmaga.org. I want to make a particular appeal today to MAGA Americans. I really don't believe that what is happening in our country now is something that you want. But I understand that it's not a natural act for us to admit that we believed lies and that we acted upon them and that we allowed those lies to shape our being and our personhood and our identity. And Leaving MAGA does not judge you. We do not ostracize those who have doubts. You are welcome with us at our community. And for friends and family who are out there who have friends and family in MAGA, we are here for you as well for support. Make sure that you follow us at our socials, leavingmaga.org. Get on our newsletter. Make sure you're subscribing. Empathy is much more preferable than scorn. Thanks so much, everyone. Appreciate your support.
Oh, this influencer hasn't commented on this. This influencer doesn't support that. Guys, how about the companies? How about the companies that continue to sponsor all of those influencers because they don't speak up? Now, I've been told many times that I should worry about my future because of how much I speak out, but I don't think that I should be worried about being on the right side of history, and neither should you. This isn't a time where we're just, oh, I don't like this policy, or I want to lobby for big pharma, or anything like that. Like, this isn't semantics. This is huge. This is fighting against fascism, a dictator. This is literally, we are fighting for our lives to make sure that we have the freedoms that we were promised and under the Constitution. So don't just stop at holding the content creator that obviously would vote Republican. Oh, they have like 30 kids and like make like trad wife content. Yeah, of course they're going to be silent. And talking about Spencer Pratt. Oh, wow, what a shocker. He's a white man that sells crystals and talks to hummingbirds. Like, why did you expect him to be someone to stand up for you? That's crazy. Anyway, I've seen those posts all over the place that say, hey, I'm on a plane ride. I wonder how many brands I could get to comment. And I have 800,000 followers. 0 brands commented on mine. That should tell you a lot about how scared companies are about this time in human history. But all of those brands are comment on a picture of a dog saying like, hey, how many brands can my dog get to comment? So it should be a flex to be able to work with people who are on the right side of history. Not a detriment.
Well, I guess the No Kings protest proved what the rest of us already knew, which that there are no kings in America, because I highly doubt that a king would have let you get away with all of that yesterday. And a lot of you guys may think that I regret putting out that warning message the other day, but I do not, because I have to say that my favorite thing in the world to be wrong about would be mass chaos. However, a couple of things did go down yesterday, and I want to spend a little bit of time talking about them because I think they're all important in their own ways. First, I want to talk about how we started the day, because we all woke up to the news that a senator and a House representative, along with their spouses in the state of Minnesota, had been shot in their homes. This was obviously a very tragic way to start the day, and after the evidence started piling up throughout the day, I have to say, in my personal opinion, I think like 2/3 at least of the blame belongs on Tim Walz. And the reason I'm saying that is due to a string of comments that have come from this man in the last week. The first comment I want to mention is last week when Tim Walz got on TV and said that the Democrats needed to be meaner, they needed to be more aggressive, they needed to be more loud about their hate for Trump. And the second thing I want to mention from him is the fact that he was supposed to give a speech at one of these No Kings protests, and these protests were funded by communist China. And then he turns around and says that China needs to be the moral authority on what's going on between Israel and Iran. And when you pair those two statements with the fact that the senator that was shot just voted against Democratic Party lines to deny taxpayer-funded healthcare to illegal immigrants, and the fact that the shooter was someone that was appointed to some kind of council board by Tim Walz, I would say that a lot of the blame for this does fall on Tim Walz. And then you have the fact that the news completely refused to release any of his manifesto and instead started flipping the script to try to convince us that he was a Republican, even though he had been promoted to prominent roles in the Democratic Party twice. Newsflash, we're not buying it. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is something that I noticed went very underreported yesterday. The news wanted to stick to the narrative that these protests were completely peaceful, even though there was a shooting that happened in Salt Lake City, Utah. And even though the motive of this shooting has not been confirmed, it has been confirmed that this was someone that was very actively participating in the No Kings protests at the time. The one thing that I am happy about is that at this time, there seems to have been no fatalities from the situation. There was one person that was critically injured, but I do believe that they will recover. And the last thing I want to talk about is probably the scariest in my personal opinion, which was the fact that Iran revealed last night that they are now in possession of hypersonic missiles. I saw so many videos of this floating around on X last night, and I cannot believe that the news was not covering it sooner, because this is probably one of the scariest things I've seen in my lifetime. Just look at how fast this is. So while for the most part the protests seemed pretty successful for them and mostly peaceful, there definitely were a lot of things that happened yesterday that I think we should be very concerned about.
Hey, this message is for anybody that's in Maga. If you still support Donald Trump, this message is for you, or you can keep scrolling. I don't know. It's a free country, I guess, for now. Hi, are we great yet? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like we are no longer the leaders of the free world. And this is exactly what you voted for. It was all in the pages of Project 2025 that you refused to believe because he said, it's not what I'm gonna do. No, but you lack critical thinking, and as far as I'm concerned, saying you have a 5th grade reading level would be a compliment. But you have a hatred for anything that is not white Christian nationalism, and it shows. Countries all over the world are boycotting American products. This is going to affect our economy for decades to come. But no, you wanted cheaper eggs. You believed that he would not get rid of the jobs for people like you. What, just because you're white? But guess what? All of us are going to have to be impacted by the choices that were made by you. So sincerely, I would love for somebody to tell me, with facts, are we great yet? Gosh, I cannot wait until these grocery prices go down. Well, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Well, you're wrong. Trump is going to lower the grocery prices. Oh, what makes you think that? Because he said so. Okay, so while I understand you said that he's going to drop the prices because, you know, he said so, you also said you want him to deport people, right? As he should. Right, so then by deporting those people, we're going to have to then hire American workers, which is going to increase the cost of goods because we're going to have to pay them higher wages. Those tariffs that he's putting on imports, those are going to affect the price of everything, and the price is going to go up for everything regardless. So I just don't think we're going to see lower prices anytime soon. I mean, I should know better than to ask you. You get your fake news from the woke mob, and I just know that you don't even trust him. You don't even know any rich people. Why would I trust you? You don't know any billionaires. He's a billionaire. You need to trust and respect him. Okay. I mean, he is your president now, our president. So we'll just have to see, huh? Yeah. We have no option.
Donald Trump won, and this is what America wanted. They wanted someone they believed to be a strong man. They wanted someone they believed was better on the economy. Whether any of those things are true or not, and much of it's not, this is what America wanted. This is what people voted for. Most of America voted for MAGAism. They voted for the sexism. They voted for the racism. They voted for the convicted criminal. They voted for someone who wants to get rid of healthcare. They voted for someone who wants to get rid of the Department of Education. But those are all true, but that's what he wanted, and that's what they wanted. So look, this is where we are. America is honestly MAGA country now, and people have to get used to it. Doesn't mean that they can't fight against it. Doesn't mean that it's over. 4 more years in the White House, but that's not the end of the world. Let's hope so.
With all of the news coming out of the Middle East right now, will you guys please listen to me when I am telling you, do not go to these protests on Saturday. If you have been on my page before, you know that I am not in the business of scaring people or fear-mongering, but I am not playing about this when I am telling you that evil forces are at play here. As someone who lived through 9/11, I am here to tell you, when stuff is going on in the Middle East, that is not the time to be gathering in large groups. When I tell you, for the last 3 days or so, I have had the biggest knot in my stomach over these protests. I am telling you guys, something is off. And if you haven't watched my last video where I was talking about this, please go and watch it, because I provided sources that will show you that some of the most evil people in the world are funding these protests. And I am not telling you to not care about issues. I'm not telling you to not ever protest again. I am just telling you, if you really care about the fight that you're trying to fight, you will not show up on Saturday. You will organize your own protests on another day. Like I said, I am not doing this to scare people. I am doing this because I'm trying to save your life. I am telling you that the people funding this are using you as pawns, and they are putting you on the front lines of their war. And the war that they're fighting doesn't have anything to do with the fight that you're fighting. They have mobilized you and convinced you that they support you in this, and I promise you, they are putting you in harm's way. And I know that some of y'all don't like when I put my woo-woo shit in here, but I'm just telling you, the transits that are happening this weekend are some of the same transits that were going on the weekend that Trump was shot in Butler, Pennsylvania. This weekend has anger and chaos and destruction written all over it. And I know some of you guys are really fed up with Trump and you hate Trump. And I'm not even asking you to stop hating him. I am just asking you to open your eyes and ask yourself the question, why aren't these people going after Trump themselves? If they feel like they can take him on and they feel like they have enough evidence to get him removed from office, why are they sending you to fight in the front lines? And at this point, it's not even hidden in the shadows anymore. You have these people getting on TV and doing interviews telling you that they are funding this. I personally am so glad that so many people are passionate enough that they are willing to take to the streets to fight for things that they believe in. But I am asking you to consider who you are fighting with and who you are aligning yourself with in the process. Look, I get it. Some of you guys really want to piss off Trump on his birthday, and that's fine. That's totally your right. But I'm just telling you, your life is worth way more than being that petty. There is a bigger fight that you guys are trying to fight, and do not put yourselves in harm's way because somebody has convinced you that Trump is your only enemy. So please be safe. Please, please stay home. But if you absolutely feel like you must go out, if anything feels off, if anything feels weird, if something does not sit right with your soul, leave. Go home. Because at the end of the day, the fight is way bigger than just tomorrow. And I want you to be there to fight it.
You guys, this protest is massive right now here in downtown LA. There are tens of thousands of people here. Potentially, we're going to see hundreds of thousands of people. There is a huge crowd marching through LA. The signal here is so bad, it is hard to go live, but I will post as many videos as I can. Look at what these crowd sizes look like. Justice! Now! Justice! Now! Justice! Folks, this just in. There is a movement right now to help save Medicaid. Nearly 900 state and local elected officials just signed onto a letter to try and stop the Senate from passing massive cuts to Medicaid, which will kick millions of Americans off of health care. Organized by the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, the letter demands that there are no cuts in the federal budget to health care and public services. As we know, the big, beautiful bill plans on severely gutting Medicaid, SNAP, and other critical public services, which will undoubtedly further destabilize state and local budgets and force deep cuts across the board that will diminish public services and hurt working families nationwide, all to give billionaires tax breaks. Head to the link in bio to read more about this letter and comment if your elected officials signed on. If they didn't, give them a call at 202-559-1165. Tell them to stand up for Medicaid and public services. Folks, we do not need millions of Americans getting kicked off of Medicaid to give billionaires tax cuts. Please share this video to amplify its message. Let's do everything we can to save Medicaid. You know, I think it's finally time I come on here and say what really needs to be said and what we're honestly all thinking. The Maga movement is a terrorist organization. Just yesterday, a Maga sycophant and Trump supporter unalived 2 Democratic lawmakers in the state of Minnesota. He had no Kings flyers in his car and also a list of abortion providers he wants to go after, and this suspect is still at large. You had another Trump fanboy in Arizona getting arrested for bringing a gun to the protest while wearing a mask. Who knows what could have happened if he wasn't caught? Another peaceful protester in Salt Lake City was unalived by a right-wing extremist, and 3 others were critically injured. And then you had psychopaths in San Francisco and Virginia driving their vehicle into crowds of people. Fortunately, neither of those situations became deadly. Folks, Republicans in this country want you to be afraid of illegal aliens, as they call them. They want you to be afraid of militant, radical Islamists. It's well past time we start looking at the real domestic terrorism that's happening in this country, led by militant white Christian nationalists who worship Donald Trump because he's the leader of their sick cult. Hey, what really needs to be said and what we're honestly all thinking. The Maga movement is a terrorist organization. Just yesterday, a Maga sycophant and Trump supporter unalived 2 Democratic lawmakers in the state of Minnesota. He had no Kings flyers in his car and also a list of abortion providers he wants to go after, and this suspect is still at large. You had another Trump fanboy in Arizona getting arrested for bringing a gun to the protest while wearing a mask. Who knows what could have happened if he wasn't caught? Another peaceful protester in Salt Lake City was unalived by a right-wing extremist, and 3 others were critically injured. And then you had psychopaths in San Francisco and Virginia driving their vehicle into crowds of people. Fortunately, neither of those situations became deadly. Folks, Republicans in this country want you to be afraid of illegal aliens, as they call them. They want you to be afraid of militant, radical Islamists. It's well past time we start looking at the real domestic terrorism that's happening in this country, led by militant white Christian nationalists who worship Donald Trump because he's the leader of their sick cult.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but please stop qualifying the value that Latinos add to this country by saying how hardworking we are. How much we do for people and how much we care. We add value because we exist. We add value because our culture enriches the world. We are community members. We are human. So that's why we add value. And no piece of paper is going to make that different. I don't ask the person standing next to me what their immigration status is. And sometimes the person in the room that is an immigrant is the white-haired blue one. The blue person. It is Cookie Monster. Cookie Monster is a long-time immigrant, and people don't talk about it enough. Where is Sesame Street even located? Is it in the country of Mattel? No one knows. And that's what I'm saying, is that we need to be more empathetic, and I feel that this conversation has to be about treating people well. And this weekend, if you are going to go protest, please be careful. Please be peaceful. Please be aware of your whereabouts. Go with people, and stop saying that I'm only valuable because I was your nanny, even though I probably